Hello everyone, I hope you all are doing good. I'm Mrs. Sitma Bashistha, and in today's class we will be doing a geography chapter, that is the landforms of the earth. Let's get started with the chapter. Okay, so as I said, today we are going to do chapter 6, the landforms of the earth. And in today's class, the topic that we'll be covering is forces of the earth, mountains, its types, and its importance. And from today's class, your learning objective will be you will be able to understand what is the difference between endogenic force and exogenic force. You will be able to understand the different types of mountains and how mountains are formed, and also the importance of mountains. So let's look into what are the different forces. So we all know that in our Earth, the surface of the Earth, that the different internal and external forces are acting upon the Earth's surface. All right. Now, and these forces are very much constant. Like constantly, our Earth is facing such forces. So there are basically two types of forces. One is endogenic force, another one is exogenic force. Endogenic force, those forces which are internal, and exogenic force, those forces which are external. Now, why does endogenic force evolve? Which factors are known as endogenic processes or endogenic forces? That means those processes or those forces which are originating within the Earth's surface. All right, that are known as endogenic forces or process. Like for example, earthquake. Right, so earthquake is an endogenic process. So I hope you have heard about this continental drift theory and plate tectonic theory. Now, what is continental drift theory or plate tectonic theory? Earlier, it was assumed that our whole Earth was the entire Earth was a single landmass. It was combined into one single continent known as Pangea. All right, like now we have several set of continents we have, but earlier it was not like this. It was assumed, all right, that the Earth was one whole continent that is known as Pangea, and but later on, due to the movement of the plates, like we all know that the Earth's crust or the lithosphere, it's made up of different plates. All right, like for example, if you boil an egg, if the egg is cracked, if you try to crack that egg, so some cracks will be developed on the shell of the egg, right? So when those cracks are developed, you can just imagine them to be the plates of the Earth's surface. So in our Earth's lithosphere, also Earth's crust, also similar such kind of plates are there. So those plates keep on moving. All right. Now because those plates kept on moving, the Earth, the entire Pangea or that supercontinent got divided into several single continents, which we see today. All right, because of the endogenic process, because of the movement of the plates, it led to the separation of the that supercontinent into those single continents. Okay, so and androgenic processes also led to sometimes it will lead to upliftment of an area. Sometimes it may also may lead to sinking down of a particular area. Like you might have heard, due to from your parents or someone, like due to earthquake, a new place has emerged. Like earlier, that place was not there, but because of earthquake, a new place has emerged. Or because of earthquake, a place which was there, it has sink down. All right. So endogenic process basically it talks about those processes which takes within the earth surface. And exogenic from the word itself, you can understand is something which is external. Those forces which are externally active. All right. Like for example, deposition activity, the activity of deposition. All right, erosion. Okay. So erosion. Erosion is when the topsoil of the top top layer of the soil is get removed. All right, when it gets removed, that is known as erosion. So what are the main factors that causes erosion? Like rainfall, wind, right? So these are the main factors which causes erosion. Now, when erosion occurs, the next related activity is deposition. Supposedly, from if high speed wind is blowing, the soil from one area will be carried and will be deposited in another area, right? So those are known as exogenic processes. That means those activities which you can see, which where the activities are taking place because of the external forces acting upon it. Okay. Now, depending upon the height and slope of all right, now we have different types of landforms. Now, what are the landforms? Landforms are mountains, plains, and we have basically three types of landforms on the earth. So in this class, we are just going to look into details about mountains. Mountains, we all know what is mountains, right? We all see mountain is a naturally occurring large naturally elevated large land mass, all right, large mass of land. Okay, like when you draw diagrams and all about hills, you try to draw, like those pointed peaks, right? Those are mountains. The mountains are basically, it is a elevated land, something which have come up, all right. And mountains can have a small summit or a broad base. Okay, now sometimes not necessary that every mountain the peak should be every time pointed, like we draw in the when we draw sceneries and all, we try to draw the hills and all to be very pointed. Not necessary every time that the mountains has to be the peak has to be pointed, rather it can be rounded shape also. Okay, so mountains, when the mountains are covered with snow, all right, we all the Himalayas and all, they're covered with snow. So when it is covered with snow, it is known as a snow cap. Snow cap means the mountain is wearing a cap. It's like it's full of white snow, all right. And the rivers which comes out from the melting of the ice, it is known as glaciers. Okay, the rivers of ice, all right. Those are known as glaciers, and these glaciers will start from where does it snow? From the snow caps only, all right. Like from the mountains, as I said, it is covered. It gets covered with snow. When those the snow sometimes it will melt and it will come down in the form of rivers of ice, or known as glaciers. Okay, and also it is we always think that mountains are only above the earth's surface, but mountains can also be located under the sea. Like an example is there, Mauna Kea. It is in Hawaii. It is in the basically in the Pacific Ocean, and this mountain is under the sea, and it is an undersea mountain. Okay. Now, when several mountains go are you will when you find many mountains at one long stretch. Okay. Now those are known as ranges. When mountains are generally formed in a long chain, that is known as ranges. All right, and it can continue from long distance. All right, so those a chain of mountains, it is known as ranges. Okay, like for example, the Himalayan mountain range, like our Himalayan mountain range, right? It is a Mount Everest. It's the highest peak in the world, right? And it is located where? It is located in Nepal, right? Okay, now let's look into the different types of mountains. What are the different types of mountains? We have uh, four types of mountains: fold mountains, volcanic mountains, block mountains, and residual mountains. Let's look into what are fold mountains. Fold mountains, from the word itself, you can understand something which is folded. Okay, now let's say, for example, take a big towel, and if you try to compress, fold the towel, like, compress the towel from both the sides, what shape will it take? It will try to get elevated, right? So same thing happens in fold mountains also, because of some fold mountains are formed when layers of sediments are subjected to force of compression, all right, and which forms a series of folds. Okay, now because of many years after years, lots of layers of sediments are deposited. Okay, and due to compression means pressure. Some pressure is put on the sediment, and because of that pressure, that sediment gets uplifted. Okay, and that is how only fold mountains are formed. All right, and there is the upper fold. Like I can show you an image. So there, can you see? So this upper fold is known as anticline, and this down fold is known as syncline. Okay, so like basically this will be sediments, and when you push the sediments, try to it will get uplifted. So that is how the mountains block or fold mountains are formed, and this upper part is known as anticline, and this lower part is known as syncline. Okay. Now, again, fold mountains can be of two types. One is old fold mountains, one is young fold mountains, and we have also examples for it. Old fold mountains are which one? Which have formed millions of years ago, million years ago. Like for example, Appalachians in North America, the Aravalli range of India. Those are old fold mountains. And what are young fold mountains? Young fold mountains, it's not like it has formed yesterday, but it has compared to the old fold mountains, it has been formed later in later time. Okay, like for example, Himalayas in India, all right, the Alps in Europe, the Rockies in North America. Those are examples of young fold mountains. Okay, so that was all about fold mountains. Let's come to block mountains. What are block mountains? Block mountains means sometimes because of force, unless some external force or compression, if you try to compress something or if you put some force on something, some cracks appear. some pressure is exerted or some compressed, then some cracks will appear on the earth's crust. All right. So when that pressure is exerted, when the land between two faults is pushed upwards, all right, the surrounding level, they form block mountains. Let's see here an example. As you can see, can you see here this image? So these are two fault lines. So these are called fault lines. Okay, so the lines where the cracks are created, the places where the cracks are created, that is known as fault line. So when compression is when between the fault line, a place gets elevated and one place goes down. Okay, so these mountains are known as block mountains. The area which comes up is known as block mountains, and the place which goes down, that is known as rift valley. Okay, and rift valley will be always located between two block mountains, as you can see in the image here. Okay, now if you, as I said, if like for example, if you take a rubber, okay, big rubber, a big eraser, try to cut, okay, and between two, and you try to lift it. When you try to compress it, when you put pressure on it, what will happen? The 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 portion which is in the between, it will go down, right? So that is the only thing. That is the only no logic you can apply here. So when compression is exerted, so fault lines are created, and those fault lines helps in the formation of, and those because of the compression or force that is exerted, some two places comes up and one place falls down. Okay, and the area which goes down is known as Rift Valley, and the area which gets elevated, those are known as block mountains. Okay, so as I said, and those are also another name for block mountains is also known as horse. Okay, block mountain or horse. And the area which goes down, the land which goes down, as I tell, it is known as Rift Valley, and another name is Graben. Okay. Now there are some examples. The Vindhyas and the Satpura range of India, they are example of block mountains, and river Narmada, which flows through the Rift Valley between these two mountains. Okay, so there are two mountains. One is Vindhya range and the Satpura range, and between them, the Rift Valley flows to the Rift Valley. Which river flows to the Rift Valley? The river Narmada. Okay. So similarly, in world also, in Europe also, we have Rhine Valley, which is a Rift Valley with two block mountains. The Rift Valley, as I said, it will be the valley in between, and the two places and the two block mountains besides are what? Bosges and Black Forest. Okay, so always remember block mountains and rift valleys. Rift Valley will be the one in between, and block mountains will be the one which will be in both the sides. Okay, and let's come to the next type of mountain, that is volcanic mountains and residual mountains. What is volcanic mountain? From the word itself, you can understand the mountains which are formed from the hot molten lava. Volcano, we all know that lava comes out, right? After cooling down of that lava, it like no that it gets accumulated and it helps in the formation of mountains. And those mountains which are formed from the hot molten lava, those are known as volcanic mountains. Okay, example are Mount Kilimanjaro in Africa, Mount Fujiyama in Japan. All right, so these are example of volcanic mountains. Now let's come to next, residual mountains. What are residual mountains? Residue means because residue, some remaining. What remaining? Because of the continuous erosion. Okay, the old full mountains, we got it right. So as we got to know that the old full mountains get eroded very easily in compared to the young full mountains. Now, because of the continuous erosion, because those old full mountains, they are facing continuous erosion over years and years. Because of that erosion only, what is formed? Residual mountains are formed. All right, something which is formed from some residues over the years. So from erosion of those old full mountains, old full mountains or block mountains or volcanic mountains, because of the erosion of these three types of mountains, residual mountains are formed. For example, Mount Monadnock in USA, then highlands of Scotland and Scandinavia. These are examples of residual mountains. Okay, so these were the four types of mountains that we have already explained: fold mountains, but then block mountains, Rift Valley, volcanic mountains, and residual mountains. Now let's come to the importance of mountains. Why are mountains important? First one is, for mountains, they're like a barrier. Okay, it will prevent the cold air to enter a particular area. So it is also like a barrier. The mountains are sources of rivers. Okay, we all know from mountains only many rivers come out, right? So the perennial river, the Ganga is a perennial river. Perennial river means the river which never gets dried up, all right? And the rivers also help, in turn, will help it, the river water will help in turn in generating electricity, hydroelectricity, right? So that is the first importance of mountains. Secondly, mountain slopes or river valleys, they can be used for cultivation of crops. Okay, it can be also in mountains and all, because they have fertile soil, it can be used for cultivation process or cultivation purpose. Thirdly, mountains also have lot of minerals. All right, we can, if we want any minerals, we can dig there and minerals can be extracted. Fourthly, some medicinal plants which we do not get everywhere. In mountains, we can get some medicinal plants, all right? So mountains are also provides us medicinal plants, all right? Or different types of stones which is required for construction. Next, mountains are home for habitat for different plants and animals. Different plants and animals live in the jungles, right? In the mountains. Next, mountain may influence the climate. As I said, because mountains, the Himalayas, they are big, tallest mountains, right? So because, and that prevents the cold air, very cold air from Central Asia to enter India. Okay, so it is like, so that is why we don't have too much of cold in India. Like we are not freezing here, right? So that is also, it influences the climate. Okay, then it is a tourist place because of the, it attracts lots of tourists every year because of, so tourists come to see the valleys and all, the mountains and all, right? And also it provides, the mountains also provide for, it can be a location for adventurous sports like, trekking, rock climbing. You can go, people go for trekking and all in mountains, in mountains, right? Rafting. So basically these are the main importance of mountains. All right then. So in today's class, we have tried to understand what are the two types of forces, endogenic and exogenic force. We have tried to understand what is the water mountains, water ranges, right? Then we have tried to identify the different types of mountains. We have looked into waterfall mountains, block mountains with examples. We have looked into what are volcanic and residual mountains with examples. And also, at lastly, we have tried to look into the importance of mountains. All right, students, I hope this class was beneficial for you. In next class, we will be continuing with the next part of this chapter. Till then,